Guys, today I'm joined with Rose Adu. We're going to be chopping up about the new, we're going to be tucking in. I'm going to be tucking in about the new Harry Styles album. If you want to just start off by introducing who you are, where people can find you, and all of that, all of that.
Yes. So I am a starting content creator. I'm an aspiring journalist. My account is Rosa Do. And you can head over to my account. I just talk about, some pop culture bits. As recently, there's a feminism bits. So
Yeah.
yeah,
We're getting into
yeah.
the social
Different
things.
different things.
Yes. And I feel like if you like my content, you'll definitely like what Rose is doing. And I thought it was a perfect opportunity to get you and sit down and talk about Harry Styles' fourth studio album, and I'm gonna get it right. Kiss all the time, disco occasionally. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
period. Yeah.
So I mean, I've listened to it and I feel like I've been on this very like new wave with the way I try to like interpret music because I think music criticism and like the space that we're trying to both operate in has become incredibly like saturated, and it's kind of just like half baked or like very like reactionary thoughts that I think
Yeah.
we give to albums. And I wanted to try to like, I tried to now give a body of work that I'm going to talk about and not just be like, well, like, yeah, I've listened to it once and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I want to try to actually build relationship and really get into
Yeah.
what the album is about, the context, the context behind it. And I thought you were a
Yeah.
perfect person to do that with. So, I mean, just starting off, what are your thoughts on the album?
Okay. I'll try to do this from the most non-biased perspective.
Mhm.
But I'll say in terms of his whole discography, for me, it's my second favorite album of his.
Okay. And so just your
I
first is
My first is Fine Line.
okay, okay.
Fine Line. Oh, should I rank it?
Go
Should I
ahead,
do
go
that?
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Fine Line, Kisco, the new one. Harry's House, then his self-titled
Okay, which makes sense.
HS1.
Yeah, okay.
Um, I really enjoyed it. I think sonically it aligns with things I listen to already. I wouldn't say that he's doing like some grand experimentation here. Like I won't drag it like that, but I do think it's very different for him. And as a fan, I like to see that he's like doing something new, something fun. Also, I feel like especially with the last 2 years he's had, personally, it's also very nice to see him like kind of talk about things that are a bit more vulnerable, a bit more personal. So I don't know. The writing again, we'll get into that. It might not be the most incredible, most like amazing thing ever, but I do think like in terms of his discography, to me, it's a solid body of work. But I do hear people's criticisms, and
And
like, yeah,
what are the criticisms and what's the overall perception of the album? Because I've not really
you've not
in
tucked
this
in.
I've not tucked into. I'm trying to stop tucking in with people because I think it distorts your view
Yeah,
on the music, and you have all these
yeah,
opinions in your head. And I want to try, especially because I knew we are doing this, I wanted to try to be not only respectful to Harry as an artist who's put this together, but also respectful of you, because I don't want to just be like, yeah, well, I didn't like it. So I did want to kind of keep it
yeah.
super fresh in what I say. So what is the kind of general consensus on the album?
Okay, so like I'll say the biggest one is that it's half baked in the sense that like he's very obviously got these influences that he's mentioned in interviews, and even the ones that he hasn't mentioned in interviews that we can pick up on ourselves, which I
Mhm.
guess we'll talk about more later, like the
Yeah.
LCD sound system,
Mhm.
Prince, Bowie, things like that. But
Mhm.
people think that like these people that he's inspired by like got weird with it and they got really experimental and like really deep with it, whereas Harry kind of did it like on a very surface level, and
Mhm.
then that the writing is not as great. I think the main thing is that he probably has like a fear of like really getting into these genres that
Mhm.
he's taken inspiration from, and I partially get the argument.
Because I get that because I've in the research in researching the album, there was a lot of comparisons to him trying to do like a David Bowie thing, particularly with
Yeah,
him recording it in Berlin, and you have David Bowie's uh Berlin trilogy. I think it's a little bit different with Harry because I think when you look at what Bowie was trying to achieve in terms of like projecting himself as this like rock star and this like thing that was larger than life, I think one thing I'm trying to consider with Harry is how, yeah, he started off larger than life. He didn't have to go through that plight, and I think a lot of what I feel like the music is almost this antithesis to these things. So I guess I get why people are like, oh yeah, like Harry really needs to get into it. Like, where's the experimentation? Where is that? But I think maybe Harry's not there
Yeah.
because he's in his 30s now. He's done the pop star thing. But also I do think yeah, people can push for the experimentation, but even when Harry was getting like mildly queer, like you think about the discourse
Yeah.
and
Yeah. True.
he's tried like the nail polish and the fashion, I
Yeah.
think he's tried, but there's something about it that I'm not gonna say doesn't click, but I do think there's a legitimate conversation that I think he's having with himself on the record in an introspective level where he's like, okay, do I want these things? And I think a lot of pop stars have this dilemma where it's like, okay, do I need to now constantly keep redefining myself and pushing
Yeah.
myself each record to
Mhm.
chase what exactly? And I think that works well when you're in your 20s, but not so much now.
With him especially, it's almost like, how do I put this? I don't know. What I've been gathering from the few interviews that he's done is that I think he's not over this fame thing, but he's kind of like reached the level where he's like, maybe I should start making like music for myself. Maybe I should
Mm.
look into my experiences and things I've been through and start like replicating that in my work. Because I feel like the two, especially again from interviews, you can tell that he's been out, he's been outside, and
Mm.
it's like that's showing through the music. And I don't know if this is 100% like correct, but I think in the first few albums it's like he was trying to achieve the pop star status, like
Mm.
he was going for the bangers, he was going. And that's another criticism that people are making, is that there's no bangers on this album. And
Mm.
it's like, it's not by force, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he creates a body of work, and I guess general public decides what's going to be the anthem, what's going to be the big Billboard Hot 100 like number one single. And like, if we don't get that from that this album, like, is that really something that's gonna like be like a shelter on this album? Like, I just don't know. I feel
Mm.
like that's just really how super, not superficial. Like, I just don't get the thinking of that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, there must be a banger on the album.
No, exactly. Because I think one of the things I think about is okay, what are bodies of work? What are albums meant to be now? And I think there is a conception when you have these really big artists that yeah, like each album is meant to like capture the zeitgeist and they're meant to like keep killing it and keep going stronger and pushing themselves not only artistically but what they can achieve commercially because it is
Yeah.
this idea that yeah, like you keep going. However, I think with the way we are with streaming and all of this, we're forced to like reconsider what is the relationship that we have with bodies of work. And I think that's also why it was important for us to have this conversation because what do you actually expect from an artist who's four bodies of work in? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
four bodies of work in, that means something a little bit different. And I think what you're actually really meant to do, I think, as a fan nowadays, is maybe you're meant to go on a journey with the artist. And I think maybe what I'm actually trying to say here is by the time you get to I think actually let me start again. I know I'm going to say I think I think it's interesting now with what artists are forced to represent as bodies of work, and I think now a lot they're a bit more like seasons of television than what we've understood as albums, where you think, yeah, an artist is just meant to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they get bigger and bigger, and then whatever they fall off or whatever. But I think it's Harry's music feels, and it's interesting. There's a song like season two,
Weight loss.
weight loss. It feels like yeah, you're on season four of a show, and
Yeah.
the character that you knew in season one, you're not gonna know in season four. And I think even though as an artist, as a popular artist, even though you are now making like really like niche music or you're really finding your artistic lane, you are meant to kind of give like entry points for new audiences to come in. And I think that's what
Okay.
people expect. Or you're meant to give the general public something enough that they can listen and be like, oh, okay, yeah, like I
Okay.
rate what you're doing. So for example, I
Yeah.
mean like what I mean by that is some even like Mayhem by Lady Gaga.
Yes.
She's pushed us, been able to push herself artistically, but she still gave us Abracadabra. Do you get what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Beyonce, she still gave us Texas Hold'em, and I mean, I've not looked at the numbers or anything, but I think Aperture will be that. Like, it's
Yeah,
Harry Styles.
yeah,
It will be that. Like,
yeah.
radio's
There's
gonna love it.
Yeah, there's I would say there's a few songs like that, like definitely songs that are reminiscent. That's why when we started the conversation, I said that like I would not say that he like really pushed with the experimentation and this is like something so eclectic and crazy. Like definitely not. There's glimpses of even first album Harry in here, like even One Direction Harry in here, like a song like
Mm,
American Girls, for example.
mm,
Bro, that sounds like him when he was, 20 years old, like, and he's like 31 now. So
mm,
there's definitely songs that I think like general public again like people will latch onto because it's reminiscent of the pop boy that he is. But
mm,
like I think he's really trying to force out that image. So I don't know, having songs like that, and for me, those are like some of the weaker songs for me
mm,
on the album. The
mm.
songs that are like, okay, like this is expected.
Yeah.
There's a song, Paint by Numbers. That one's very oh, it's a skip, but hey, that's fine. Very slow, very, it's very meaningful. People think it's about a past relationship, people think it's about Liam Payne. So very meaningful song.
Mm.
There's Coming Up Roses, which I think is really beautiful. The one with the orchestra at the
Oh,
end,
yes, 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 yeah, yeah.
gorgeous
Love that,
song.
yeah.
There's songs that I think are like reminiscent that could be
Mm,
on the previous record, but
mm.
then he gives us something like, "Are you listening yet?" And it's like, okay,
Okay,
this
so
is not very you.
okay. So I want to come back to Are We Listening Yet? But also
Yeah.
I want to kind of go back to like reemphasize my point because I do think the expectation is yeah, like every artist, you're meant to like develop this creative persona for an era, and then you are meant to like completely discard it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's something that is really fair, especially for like us to be asking for like a man in his 30s. Like I think female women can still give or still are kind of forced to give us that. Like that I think something like Renaissance Cowboy Car is still like constant experimentation. But yeah, like by the time you get to like your 30s, do you want to be reconstituting your identity just to like sell an album? Or do you find a way to like bring all the different parts that you've had and just bring it with you? Is that maybe what he's doing here? Do you feel like that's there?
No, I do agree with that. I also think that like maybe this is the music he's been wanting to make, either that he's
Mm,
been wanting to make or the aesthetics of the rollout and things like that are more him.
mm,
Because I think and this gets into a bigger conversation of potential queer baiting and stuff. But the
mm.
past two albums, it's like he was going with that very effeminate look and the nail polish and the leaning into like more queer imagery. And it's like, was that you?
Interesting because interesting because I don't say I was thinking the same thing, but hearing him talk, it was in the Zane Lowe interview where he's talking about like how he was alluding to like how much opinions and things
Mm,
get to him,
mm.
and um, it's interesting. It's just interesting because
Because his mustache is back.
yeah, I like
You got a mustache. We're wearing sweaters and cardigans and suits and
knit.
ties. You know what I mean?
It's a bit knit. Do you get what I mean? Like
Yeah, like you know, I
yeah,
don't
the thing is, I think the queer conversation with Harry's a little bit tricky because
know.
I can actually really empathize with him when you just have like a bunch of Gen Zers wanting to know what you're doing. And
Yeah, yeah,
I don't think that's any of our business, but I do think like naturally it's gonna come through in the music. And I think that's a problem that artists like David Bowie didn't ever have like a problem with at least embracing for the aesthetic. But because for example, David Bowie is like a fake he's such a fake bisexual too. So I don't get why people with Harry they're kind of like, well, he's queer baiting, he's doing his nails like his new nails. I don't think it's worth the discourse, but I do feel like that's why this album had to be like very stripped back because I do wonder if he was like I just think it gets frustrating because maybe it's like you are being yourself or you're being who you think you want to be, and then you see people not really. I'm not going to say not mesh with it or not get it,
Yeah.
but it is like, and I feel like maybe he did have to go back to the drawing board again, and that's why I
Yeah.
think we get a song like "Are You Listening Yet?" Which I think you wanted to say something on that, but we could let's talk in.
Oh, for me personally, like that's one of top five songs on the album
Yeah.
for me.
Mhm.
Some people are saying it's the worst song he's ever made. So that's what I mean.
I knew it. Like I knew, like when I
Yeah.
heard this song, I was like, I know the reactionary reaction to this album is, or to this song particular. They're gonna hear his vocal delivery. They're gonna be
Yeah.
like, "Ew, this is cringe. This is corny. This is a bit
Yeah.
lame.
Yeah.
Like, what is
Yeah.
going on?" And he did say in the Zayn interview that this was the first song that he made for the album. And when he said that, I was like, "Aha!" Because I do think if Harry has been like this kind of, I'm not going to say a well-rehearsed character, but if it has been something that he doesn't feel like he's been authentically embodying himself, I think
Yeah.
this album was like him allowing himself to just do that, if that makes sense. Like to
Yeah.
just say things and have delivery that isn't like super polished or kind of like you said, even with like how he tries to how he tries to how he tries to infuse the music with his influences. I
Yeah.
think he's not trying to do that, and there's less thinking going on.
Yeah. This is one of them. I would say probably the most hated. I'm Paint by Numbers, but that's for
Mm,
different reasons.
mm,
But this is one of the songs that has created because I think one thing is the lyrics. Some people say like, what's he talking about? There's one line where he's like, "You want your tummy tickled or something." Fair enough. Do you know? Sometimes his lyrics are a bit, you know,
mm,
but also it's his vocal delivery. It's like how it sounds in general. I think it's very far from something he's ever done. So people are a
mm,
bit like taken aback.
mm.
And I don't know. I feel like critiquing albums is absolutely fine and like coming online and saying your opinions is a great thing. I think that's part of the nature of like things that we are even doing.
Yeah,
But it's just like very reactionary. And I do understand when artists see things like that and they're like, well, then fuck you then. Because at the end of the day, it's like you tell me I should experiment, I should do something new, try new sounds, and then I go and do it. And the first thing you can say is like, we want the old Harry back. And it's like, he was 20 something making those albums. You know what I mean? Being a Harry fan, kind of, I'd say at this point, kind of in the fandom, you
mm,
can really see like the divisive nature of the fandom from reactions to the song. Some
mm,
people will say like this is the best song he's ever made, and then
mm,
some people are like, it'll turn it off. And I think that just goes to show that like some people are saying it's because he's dating black women. I didn't say it, you know, or because of the people he's hanging out with, or something. But
mm,
like, I think maybe he was. This is bad to say. Maybe it's the music he wanted to make, but at the same time, I think maybe at one point he could have been appeasing to the fandom, the demographic of his
mm.
fandom, and like what they would expect from a Harry album. And I think now, I'm not saying he's now appeasing to the blacks. I didn't say that, but
Yeah.
I'm saying maybe he's like one making music he wants to make, music he's inspired by, and just like taking a look at his life and thinking like, okay, these are my everyday experiences. Let me put it in the music because
Exactly.
do you
Mhm.
know what I mean? Because I don't know if, well, I do know, but I think when your solo album is like you trying to prove yourself, do you know what I mean? So I think that wouldn't be the most accurate representation of himself. And he even says it in albums, he's like, some of those songs, like, oof, like he's not a fan of. And that makes total sense. And I think now, as a 31-year-old man with all these life experiences, you're probably one of the most famous men on the planet. You've got more to say. So I think that's really showing through the music.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to say how like the fandom is very divisive.
Mm,
And I don't know if that's also part of it. Like
mm.
maybe he's like, let me
So
make something for the girls.
yeah, because I don't even think like yeah, like he's making music for black people, but I feel like for me, I feel like he's approaching things like hey, rock Mr. DJ by
Robbie.
Robbie Williams. That is exactly what like this album, it just sounds like that kind of approach. And I recently watched his Netflix because there was the Take That one, and then I wanted a bit more depth. So I went and watched the Robbie Williams one. And actually, I think they are
Good parallel.
parallels.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think they're, to me, it's a better parallel than Harry and Bowie.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
for sure. Oh, yeah. Especially with this
I,
album, for sure.
yeah.
Like, because I think you see Robbie also kind of go through that like dilemma in the
Hmm.
public eye where it's like, okay, like what do I really want? And I think also part of it's the fact that like, yeah, as like a middle-aged white man, am I, and I think that's also part of it, to be honest. I think it's like are white are white middle-aged men interesting enough to capture the pop culture zeitgeist without any kind of embellishments?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I don't think that's a question I can answer, but I think that's what we see. Do you get what I
Yeah.
mean?
What I'll add to the Robbie thing as well is kind of something I've written in my notes about this like manufactured boy band mold. And like
Mm.
you can see that Robbie would take that, and obviously with Harry, One Direction. And that's why I think it's taken him 4 albums to finally do something. Like,
Yeah.
not in an offensive way, but like
Mm.
it's kind of taken them quite a while to be like, okay, let me switch it up a bit. Because
Yeah.
I think the first album is very much like there's a bit of like rock there, but it's soft. He's
Mm.
like playing with it lightly. And then the second one is a bit folky. There's other influences, quite pop. And then Harry's House is Harry's House. And
Mm.
then this one is like,
What,
okay, sorry.
what do you Harry's house is Harry's house?
I'm sorry. That album, I thought, yeah,
But like
yeah.
that's the thing. I think it didn't really. I don't think it really registered to people that that's what one album of the year, and maybe
I
why
know.
why
And
it
like
one album of the year.
I think it's there's a huge song on it, in it. There's
Mhm.
a massive song on it.
Mhm.
Let me not hate on that album. It's actually like there's good songs on it. It's just
And
hard to make the argument that that's the album that deserved that year. I
true.
feel like he's got better bodies of work. Even yes, we get it. We'll put it down. We understand. Even this album, do you know what I mean? Like I feel like
Mhm.
this is a contender. I
Yeah.
don't think Beyonce will release in this year, so she
But
might have a fight.
Here's my thing, because I did actually, I've had to really sit with myself and be like, okay, in the context, like in the world, it won album of the year. In
Yeah,
my world, album of the year was Renaissance by Beyonce. But in the real world, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but this was album of the
of
year.
the year.
And I think the reason why I can say is because I think, I think about that era and treat people with, is that
Yeah,
this
with kindness. Treat people with
is that
kindness.
Harry's house?
No, that's fine line, but
Oh,
that's like
okay.
his mantra now in
Okay.
life.
I think with Fine Line and Harry's House is, and a lot of people might not agree, you have a white man doing something a bit interesting in pop music.
Yeah,
I think that's why he got rewarded for it.
yeah,
You're doing something interesting.
yeah,
And also even him at the Grammys being like, not a lot of people like me get this. He was right. He was right. Like it clicked for me today. I was like, no, he was right in saying that, because I guess, yeah, in the face of like Beyonce losing, okay, but like we're British, and I think maybe it's also got lost in the American audience, but like, yeah, he's actually here because he was 16 and he decided to audition for a TV show. If that
yeah,
which doesn't exist, the opportunities like that, especially in this
yeah,
UK, do not exist like that far ice anymore.
yeah,
So yeah, yeah,
yeah. And I'm not trying to like be like, oh, boo-hoo, look at this baby, but he's not he's not that well off, one. The audition, he didn't audition. His mum forced him. Did the thing for him and was like, get your ass on that stage. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's a lot of luck with him. Like,
yeah,
you know, you were nearly about to get kicked out of the show, and they were like, you know what? There's these 4 other boys that are just about
yeah,
as good as
yeah.
you. We'll put you guys together. You made it through judges' houses. You didn't even win the show. You got fourth. And then you became the biggest act of the show. So I do think there's a lot of luck involved with his career. Even at the time when it was time to go solo, Zayn was the main pop boy. Do you know what I mean? So
I'm
for you
seeing the
to be,
pain, seeing the pleasure. We were
do you know
there.
what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't Harry. Like I can't lie. It was Harry maybe in the UK. Like we were loving him, but like globally, Pillow Talk was a hit. Like it was. Everyone was talking about Zayn. He was in a very what do you call it? What's the English? A high what do you call it when the couple are together? They're big.
Oh, celebrity couple.
Yeah, he was in a
Yeah,
big
yeah,
celebrity
yeah. High profile
couple.
couple.
Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
there's a
yeah.
lot of noise around Zayn. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the point I was trying to make. I was even recently after seeing I don't know if you've watched it. Have you watched this One Night Only in Manchester?
I will
No,
tuck
it's
it. I'll tuck in. I'll tuck
we'll
in.
talk about it after. We'll talk about it after. But like even some of Harry's first shows when he released that first album, wow, school
Mm.
assemblies. That's what he was selling out. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So for him to then become like literally one of the most famous like pop boys ever is
Yeah.
like, you know, you're standing with
And
your Grammy because of luck, low key.
yeah, it's luck, but it's strange. Like I don't think people get it because first of all, he's pretty much like rejected this like I saw it in an interview. His music is very strictly like of a retro sensibility.
Yeah,
You're not gonna get a strip that what's it strip that down. You're not getting that from Harry. You're never getting that.
yeah,
I don't think he wants to give that, which is
no,
why I think it's actually part of his success. It is part of
yeah,
his
yeah,
success that he kind of did discern very early that he
yeah.
had to take somewhat of an auteur direction, whether that's fully realized yet or fully embodied.
Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? But
Yeah. There's something I wrote because I'm trying to like I want to say everything I need to say.
go on. This is your
But
space.
I wanted to talk about Bruno.
That is who I wanted to talk about too. He was in my
Okay, okay, okay,
He
okay.
was in my notes
Okay, okay, okay.
because yeah, that yeah.
Yeah,
Get into
I
it. Get
think
into it.
so. Like listening to the album, and obviously with the romantic just coming out, like it
Mhm.
did. I drew like some comparisons, and it really made me want to tuck in with you
Mhm,
about Bruno. And
mhm,
yeah, so what I was saying about the three right now that I feel like each of these artists are doing something, and I feel like there's something to be spoken about all of them. And I'd say like Harry, Bruno, and I think the person that's doing it the best is The Weeknd.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, but it's
Mm.
more so like I think the conversation more so about Bruno and Harry, and like, what were your thoughts on the romantic? I mean, I saw
Okay,
your video, but like
yeah.
now that you've given it more time, what do you think?
Yeah, it's great. It's fine work for Bruno. I think I'm like I always end up like settling back to like my critiques of him. And that's also what okay, like the reason why I compared it, can we just tuck it in terms of the comparison,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
I was like, yeah, there's that retro sensibility that both Harry and Bruno are doing. I
yeah.
think Harry's able to do it a bit more successfully. And it's not
Yes.
just because he's a white man, but
Oh,
one, okay, I think it's just simply the fact, like, for example, Harry has a fan base. Harry has a
mhm.
fan base.
Yeah.
Bruno Mars and people, well, yeah, yeah. The gen Bruno Mars's fan base is the general public, and I think there's
It's
a gap
everyone.
in that fact. But
Yeah.
yeah, Bruno doesn't have a fan base, and I think
Yeah.
whose music isn't able to really sit introspectively with him, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
what's different with how I'm engaging with Harry's music is yeah, I'm able to sit down and be like, yeah, like Harry's reflected on this and he's reflected on this and he's done this. Whereas Bruno, you can't do that. And
Yeah.
is that a problem? I don't think so, but I think for like music critics and people like to think
Yeah.
critically about this stuff, it makes it harder for us
Yeah.
to really engage with Bruno's work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's literally what I wrote in my
yeah,
notes. I was
yeah.
like, I said, I hate to compare, but compared to his contemporaries, I feel like he successfully delved into his influences because how I feel about the romantic is what I think, in my opinion, Harry successfully did.
Mm.
Um, this album might not be perfect, but I can see what he's exploring, and he's done it somewhat tastefully. And
Yeah.
when I was listening to the romantic, and I actually did a video on this, but I don't know, I haven't posted it. I got
No,
mistake.
and this is why, even though this is because the same thing. We're in a society that, like, I feel like forces us to think of everything as like optimized, and even it extends to how we do music. We're like, if it's not like perfect, or like we're constantly measuring in our head, is this worth putting out? Is this
Yeah,
worth like thing? And I think Harry, and obviously you'll talk about the video, Harry's maybe detaching from this. And there's someone else I could also talk about that, but I want to finish your point.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And whilst I was listening to the romantic, I was just like, this is not like it's not fun anymore. Like I don't know how to explain. Fun is like a really basic word to use, but
Mm-hmm.
when it comes down to it, that's the feeling I got. I was like, he's not doing this in a way that's creative, in a way that I feel like at one point in his career, I was like, okay, Bruno's a student of the game. Like, especially 24 Karat Magic,
Oh,
especially when you're working with someone like Anderson .Paak for an evening with Silk Sonic. I feel like
yeah.
you're doing things tastefully. You're taking these sounds and you're like adding like a modern flair, but at the same time, there's nods to the past. It's just good. And then this time
Mm.
I was like, okay. So we're trying to do, Evening with Silk Sonic, I guess, again, but like
Yeah.
Latino version. I don't know. Like
Yeah, and I think I've given
I
him a pass with this album, but again, that's what, like, I'm back to my original point. Bruno, you've
yeah.
reached your limit. You've reached your
Yeah,
limit.
I agree. And I feel like for me personally, it should not happen again because I was
Mm.
listening to that album and I was like, this sounds like one, something you've done before, or two, like
Mm.
you're doing something, but it's just like, go the
Because you
extra mile.
can,
You've
innit?
got
Because
nothing
you,
to lose. You've got nothing to
yeah.
lose. One of the biggest like pop stars in the world. Just do something
Mm.
different.
Mm.
So yeah, definitely that once I finished listening to Harry's album, sorry, that's who I was like, because his one came out what maybe 2 weeks ago now. And I
Yeah.
was just like, yeah, like,
Mm.
no matter what people say about this album from Harry, I do think that like he did score when it comes to like actually taking the challenge, citing his influences and doing something with it. Like,
Yeah, because
I'll give let's give him that.
yeah, because I also I want us to walk away from this idea that taking notes, or like doing something ambitious, or doing something, I think Harry's experimentation, I want to say on paper it's not good. I think that's really unfair. I don't think it's not good.
Say what you want to say. I won't be offended.
No, no, no. It's no, no, no. Because that's exactly not what I'm trying to say. It's not that it's not good. It's just that I think a part of the experimentation was just allowing him to just like put like have music that was a little bit half baked, and that is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
fine. But I think what it does is it gives him a much better foundation to build on, where
yeah.
and it's because he's been honest with himself. Like he's been honest with himself, and that's why like I think like hearing him talk about how like Are You Listening Yet as the first song of the album, I'm like, yeah, and that's what, again, like it makes sense why people aren't rating the sound, or maybe aren't getting it, because it is like, honestly, it's just about him choosing to be cringe, but he's actually trying to embody himself, which I think is one of the most radical things that I think anyone can do, in especially in the time we live in. And I'll say this for the audience: Rose's whole dissertation was about what it is like being and carving and creating. I mean, you can actually explain a lot better than I am right now, but what is existing, carving your identity in a digital age in the 21st century. I know, talk about that, because I think the girls stuff like that. The
Oh
girls
my
definitely
gosh,
like
I
that.
literally like kind of forgotten, but
Mm,
yeah, essentially, it's kind of like I was talking about surveillance culture and how like we're all watching each other essentially, and
mm,
because of that, we kind of adjust our behaviors towards that. So
mm,
like carving an identity is kind of hard because you've got
mm,
like so much noise from the outside, and then
mm,
you've kind of molded your persona, your identity, things like that into something that's like no longer recognizable as yourself.
mm,
Um, and in the way that I guess I was talking about in my dissertation, it has more to do with like how we are on certain platforms. But I think you made a brilliant point of linking it to this because, like, I think the outside noise is probably why Harry's house was the way it was. You look at his career trajectory, and again, Harry fanatic, so we'll start from the beginning. On the first album, in terms of like major fat global hits, I would say he had one, and that was Sign of the Times. Do you know
Okay.
what I mean? And then, sorry,
As in, I love that. I love that song.
yeah,
I saw it in the rain at Wembley, and it was just I was oh like I'd not really taken that song in, but I was like, oh, like this is perfect.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah, it's a beautiful song.
mm,
Um, and then I would say HS2, which is Fine Line, is probably when he became a superstar. Like there
yeah, yeah,
is countless amounts of like hits on that song. You've got Fine Line itself, the song. You've got Falling. You've got Adore You. You've got Watermelon Sugar. Like
mm. It was his yeah, yeah. He's
he
here.
did his big one. You
Yeah.
know everything about that. Like it probably
and,
went in the
that
direction.
album got him on the 20, so when Rolling Stone did their 500 greatest album of all time list, he got on there. I think he was like, he was in the, no, maybe like around 470, in the
Okay.
470, in 470s, around that, or the 500 to 400 range. And then I think they also added Harry's House to their recent edition. But yeah, sorry, continue.
Okay.
Yeah,
As long as one is higher than the other.
yeah,
um, but yeah, I think I said Adore You was also on the album
yeah, yeah,
too. Yeah. So I think like he really, I think, how do I say it? I think probably the label or whoever, that's what they were expecting from the first album. They got that with the second album. He became this incredible superstar, and they were like, we need to follow this formula. And like,
mm,
that's probably why why I think Harry's House is the way it is, because I don't know, for me, from Fine Line, he went on this massive tour, like one of the highest grossing tours ever. Loads of things happened. Like his career changed like quite quickly. Like
yeah,
I think it kind of replicated what he had when he was in One Direction. Like it was
yeah,
finally reaching that type of level. So you would think Harry's House would be the album where he gets a bit more weird with it, a bit,
yeah.
And then no, you know,
Mm.
the label are probably like, we know what sells. You did it like 4 times on the last album. Like that's not even an exaggeration. There's
And
hits.
it's why I think that album is a little bit derivative. The album
Harry's
is
House.
so derivative. Like I think, unfortunately, it is, and I think a lot of music is like that's the nature of music.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like, why does this sound like Ant Farm? Even baby, you are the love of my life. That sounds like it's called Whenever I Call You Friend by Kenny Loggins, and I don't think it's Stevie Nicks, but Kenny Loggins and someone. But for
Yeah.
me, yeah, that album, I was just like, okay, I mean, that's why it's like maybe it's like a tour of white pop. I can give it that, like of of just yeah of the things that of pop of white man's pop, like
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm totally with you in terms of they were just like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is the formula, go.
Yeah. And even like low key, this might be problematic to say, but I don't
Mm.
even think Harry's House commercially was a success, of
Mhm.
course. But
Yeah,
in terms of like hits, you have As It Was,
yeah.
you have maybe Satellite, you can make the argument for that.
Na, 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 na.
Yeah. Cute
Okay,
song.
yeah.
But like, I don't think that album had nearly as much as like cultural significance to me as Fine Line did. And
Mm.
even just hits wise. Oh, Jesus.
See the Harry, he don't have voodoo on that.
They're
Like,
coming for me.
yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I feel like I'm not saying maybe he was being himself on Fine Line. No, I'm just saying
Mm.
probably because it was so formulaic, maybe that's why it became so derivative. And
Yeah.
you know, sometimes general public actually gravitates to things that are a bit more organic.
Derivative.
You know?
Oh wait, a bit more.
Okay, yeah, derivative. But I was trying to make the argument that like Fine Line is kind of that's like
Okay,
where his hits are.
yeah, and I think it's because okay, I think yeah, but I also think that's what we have to acknowledge. That's why he was able to have like sustain that success with Harry's House without
Yeah,
having
yeah,
to do much because
too much. Yeah,
I think that the derivativeness of it, not that like, I think yeah, like I think because I think actually, for me, Fine Line and Harry's House kind of blur the errors.
Oh, really?
Now
Okay,
looking
fair enough.
back, they do kind of blur in my head because yeah, we could talk about the whole thing of Harry getting a little bit more queer. That was Fine Line, where he was
Mm.
getting all the tattoos and all of that and all of that. Um, I think yeah, Harry's House was just like a continuation of that.
Continuation?
Yeah,
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 fair enough.
yeah.
Fair enough. Like if I was the average consumer listening to like Harry's House, it's not a bad album. Like he doesn't do anything offensive. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's a good album, but I think what he's doing now is like worthy, I think, of acclaim
yeah,
than
yeah, yeah. And I think it's a claim in the fact that okay, like what are we when we're saying or putting him on the scale of like a David Bowie, I think it is his way of speaking to the culture in a way. He is maybe forcing us, and if you can engage with it, I think what I'm getting out of this album or what I hope to get out of this album is yeah, sometimes in order to truly be yourself, you just have to do it. And
yeah.
once you allow yourself to drop your pretenses, because I think ultimately a big part of our world is the fact that you can't drop those pretenses unless you've reached the pinnacle. You can't.
Yeah.
Like Beyonce could not make herself titled at the start of her career. I was even gonna say that I don't think I look at Ariana Grande and that's who I was actually gonna compare this album Eternal Sunshine and
Kisco.
Kiss whatever too long Kiss because I think Eternal Sunshine to me is the superior album, but I think of the critiques on there where it is a bit like actually yeah like the songwriting's a little bit like yeah it is a bit
Really?
hard.
I didn't tuck in enough to know that there were critiques for the album.
Yeah, there was critiques of
Really?
Eternal Sunshine being that yeah like because it was her pen that the writing wasn't as focused as it has been, but I'm just like I think what artists should be allowed to say to the to culture at large is I actually want to get to a place where what I'm putting out is truly reflective of me and that
Mm.
isn't found in technical proficiency. It's found in me actually just trying to discern what I'm trying to say. And if you want to rock with that, you can rock with that. But I think the reason why I like Harry is because I now have enough money and I have enough accolade. I've got album. I've done everything, everything you people want from me. I think it's he's allowed to want things for himself.
Yeah. Okay, this is just like kind of a question to you, but do you remember the songs well enough? Sort of a bit.
Yeah. Test me. Test me.
Do
Let's
you
do
have
it.
any standouts? Because another critique, people are saying there's no song that's gonna like reach.
Um. Okay. Do I have any standouts?
Yeah. Ooh.
So no. I don't know because I want to ask. I do. I really like Taste Back. I've really
Oh
liked
wow.
Taste Back.
Didn't expect
Um.
that.
Yeah. I like. I'm gonna allow myself to get into season 2 weight loss because initially when I saw the title, I was like, "What is this brother talking about?" But I'm like, that he's been able to capture something that I've always wanted to like. I've always talked about. Like for example, look at Glee season 1, season 2. You can tell that they had money, and then they go and they fix them. So I like that. Um,
Hear it.
dance. I like Dance No More. I like Dance
Ooh,
No More.
that one's
Um,
really good.
yeah, and it's like, and I think that's also part of the problem is don't market a dancer. Maybe it's the marketing that lost people here.
Yeah. Let's
Don't
tuck in.
because this isn't a club album.
It
This isn't.
isn't
It
either.
is like I don't think so.
No, no,
I
no.
yeah.
I 100% agree. Um, I'm doing this off the top of my head,
Mm,
so I might miss songs.
mm,
If anything captures, because the kiss all the time part, I was thinking like, okay, we're gonna get something, a little bit.
mm,
We didn't get that anyways. So
mm.
then disco occasionally. So I'm thinking, he really took it like occasionally. I think the only disco track on that album is Dance No More.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because do you know what he means when he why people are thinking because when people think disco, they think and just
Yeah.
go into the club. Da, 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 da. Listen, no. He's going on
Yeah, no.
weekends and then he's leaving the function. He's taking his vitamins, then he's running a marathon. That's where
Yeah.
he's at.
Yeah. If anything, it should have been like, I don't know, something along the lines of the fact that it's like more an electronic album. I
Mm,
think that would have made more sense.
mm.
Maybe he just meant disco as a thing, not the genre. I don't know.
Yeah, like no, I think maybe yeah,
But
he meant dance, like he meant
yeah,
enjoyment. And I do think what I think will come of this music is that when you hear it live and you go to a Harry, like let's be, there's no place on earth like a Harry Styles show. Like there's no place on earth like it. And I think he's gonna be able to give that sound to his audience, which I think is what is the most important thing.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
when you go, you will have the feeling of what it's like being in a club when you go to the
yeah,
concerts to hear the music.
yeah.
If you
And
don't,
yeah, and that's why I was asking if you watched his one night only, which essentially he did like a £20 show in Manchester. It
mm,
was ballot picked, so you signed up. If you're lucky, you get a ticket.
mm,
And I would say like songs that I kind of it wasn't clicking for me yet.
mm,
Seeing it live, well, I wasn't there, but seeing it being performed live, like it makes sense. Like honestly, the album makes so much sense in the live context. Like even the slow songs that I think were to me, I was like, oh, a bit boring. It
mm,
makes sense, and I was
okay.
like, you know what? Well
Yeah,
done,
no,
Young King.
then I'm definitely
Yeah,
going to tuck into that because I think, and I think oh, this is why I'm going to keep doing things like this, and whenever albums, I'll be Rose, 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 because I think it's important. Like this is what music does. Because now I've come from the album, I've got to understand it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna tuck in. I'm gonna
yeah,
go listen to it, and I'm going to actually enjoy because I took the time to be like, you know, Harry, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and yeah, and that this is another thing I think. So I just have a few things in my notes I want to mention, and
Go
I think
ahead, go ahead, go
this
ahead.
links. This links. He did an interview with a man called Tom Power. I don't know if you watched that one.
No,
He was
I've only
looking
I
real
was
fine,
I'll tuck
wearing
in. I'll tuck in. I'll
yeah,
tuck
wearing
in.
his shirt and his suit.
Mhm.
But he was saying like the realization that he had in the process of making this album is that it's not about him and it's about the
Mhm.
music. And I just think it's very much the opposite,
Mhm.
personally.
I
Like I
agree. I agree.
respect where
Yeah.
he's coming from. I respect
Mhm.
where he's coming from, and I think he's kind of trying to detach. That's the thing. I think that's the word for this era is he is very much trying to detach from this pop star image that he's got going on. But I think like it's kind of about the world he creates as well, and like him as a person. Like he is. Oh, it sounds like I'm glazing, but he's quite likable. Like when you watch him in interviews and things like that. So it's like you kind of want him to like do something well, like because at the end of the day, like even as a super fan, I can admit that this is not like the best thing I've ever listened to in life. But it's kind of the world that he creates around it. And that's why I say like watching the performance of it and him interacting with fans and like him kind of like being immersed in performing again. Because I think overall that's probably what he missed the most.
Mhm.
Like he probably will might lie and be like, "Oh, I love being in the studio," but like, let's be real. You like performing, you like you're attention seeker, you like us cheering and being like, "You're so hot, you're sexy, you amazing." Do you know what I mean? So I think that's also got a lot to do with it, and it's like this ongoing rhetoric that he's got that it's not about me, it's not about me, it's not about me. Like it's almost like he's trying to make it seem like, oh, no one cares about me. We just love the music, and it's like, no, we are fangirls. Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
and that's it. That's it. Like I totally agree because it's like, no, no, Harry, I'm giving like I'm really taking this in because we have history. Me and you have
Yeah,
a lot of history, and
yeah,
that's
because
really
it's
why I'm
history.
taking it in. And I think that's also okay. That is enough.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think the big it seemed like the big thing that came out in particular of like whether he deserved to win album of the year is maybe there was like that internal crisis where he's like, okay, like, do I really deserve this? Do I deserve
yeah.
this fame? And I think, yeah, you do, because at the end of the day, all you need to do is just get into the studio and give us something. And there are people that are going to be happy with it. I think just now in this social media digital landscape, everything seems like way more elevated and we're all just consuming albums together and da 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 da. But Yeah, no, fuck that, Harry. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's a shame, but I feel like you could give this album to someone else and like people won't care.
Yeah,
Do you know
and
what
they
I mean?
won't like it.
They wouldn't like it. Do you
If
know what I
if
mean?
if Bruno made this, I would be like, get back into the stew because I know that the influence. But Harry and when we look at it, and I also kind of got that from watching the Robbie Williams documentary. I'm just like, it's always been a very minimal amount um of producers. It's him and then like one other guy or two other people. They're the ones
Yeah.
making the music. Can't say
Say it.
that.
Go ahead.
I just don't. I I I just think this is like I love what white men can give us. I love what they can give us in this context.
It's
And
true. It's true.
that's that. Am I being like, am I accepting mediocrity? No, because it does now need to, it does force me to be like, okay, if I can set this from Harry as like a decent part of work, I think I've got to also engage with, and I think I do, to be fair, I do think I can engage with other artists in a
And
different
be
way.
like,
The standards I have for them can diminish. And I think, again, I also had that with Ariana Grande. Where I was just like, okay, like, maybe this isn't like this huge sonic leap from positions, or for example, but what is it you're trying to say? I can respect that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that's also where what artists need to allow. And I think in part of this is a real tangent, but whatever. I think a core part of this is also the fact that, like, would I say white? I think white artists have a bit more of the avenue to explain themselves and connect with people. Like, for example, like the Zane Lowe's and the interviews and all of this whatnot. And this is why black artists, you need us. You need us. We need cultural criticism. We need to sit down and untangle things together so
Yeah,
people can understand your bodies of work.
yeah,
Because otherwise, they're just forced to be product, and ultimately, that's what all music is. But of course, Harry's product is gonna perform better.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
another thing about him as well, he's never done a feature or so he had someone feature his whole career. No, there's no Harry Styles featuring or someone featuring Harry Styles. It's him, Kid Harpoon, or whatever he's called, our brother. It's just them two in the stew.
And that really is kind of popular music when you look at, like, for example, the Beatles and how they create. But that's it. And I think that's also a world of music that we have to embrace. And it's why I also
Yeah,
don't want conversations around like white artists to just be like, okay, because they're not like doing something that is really musically like sick and innovative, that
yeah,
it needs
I
to be
agree.
discarded.
I agree. I think again to the whole thing I'm saying about him really wanting to detach. I
Mm.
think there's an interesting comparison. I think between him and Taylor Swift. That's
Okay.
another.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think she's kind of created this world where she knows she's the it. Like I hate to say it, but she is the it girl. Do you know what I mean? She's the it girl. And then he's trying to so desperately detach from
Mm.
that like kind of it boy. He's also an it boy, like the pop icon kind of thing. And I think with Taylor, and this is a shame, is that her music, that last album was absolute horror. I hate to be that person. And I'm not someone I'm not someone that critiques her unnecessarily. That's like, oh, her music's trash just because she's a white woman and I'm a black woman and I feel like I should hate. No, I actually respect some of her bodies of work. Evermore,
Oh,
Folklore.
folklore, get into the pieces.
You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
she's got some songs that I'm like, you know what, yeah. And the thing is, there's no creative like expression,
Mm.
or it's not even derivative at this point. It's just bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. The
I
songwriting is
didn't
cringe.
listen. I just didn't listen to it. I just thought, and again, that was kind of my problem. Everyone was kind of slamming it, being like it's bad. And I was just like, okay, like whatever. She doesn't.
Yeah,
She
you
doesn't need.
probably think like,
She doesn't need
yeah,
me to listen to it.
yeah. And low key, because that's kind of the commentary you hear for like nearly every one of her albums. Like I remember hearing "It's So Bad" to Folklore, and then I
Yeah,
went to go and listen to it. I was like, "You guys are mad. You're
yeah.
absolutely you've lost it." Do you know what I mean? But this time, when I went to, I was like, "Wow." She's compared her partner's wood to a tree.
Oh no. And you could do that tastefully. You just don't got it, sis. You just don't got it, sis.
Do
But
you
also,
know what I mean?
to your point on, I do think, okay, like the slight differences, and I think that, have you heard of Gaylor? Gaylor?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Gaylor?
yeah. People
There
think
is
she's
that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I think with Harry, it's a little bit different because I think the reason why maybe he can't, there is that thing where he wants to detach because I don't think he has been allowed to own his, and I think this is a masculinity thing. I don't think he's been able to own what that means fully in a way that I
Yeah.
think Taylor can, or that even like a Bowie could, because it was so stylized, which is why I just get like why he's just like, you know what, I'm in my 30s, whatever, whatever.
I think, I mean, their careers are very different. Like he's had a much shorter career. Like
Mm,
she's been at it for a while, but I just think if we talk about the two white people that are like kind of on top, I
yeah.
think it's them two. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's brave. I would say one, it's brave that he's done something like this because
Mm,
I'm sure he knew going into this, people would a lot of people wouldn't like it
mm.
because you've given us like songs like music for a sushi
But
restaurant. Do you know?
sorry, can I just? I want to. Okay, we're really gonna tuck in here because is that not just what? Is that not the same thing as torture to poets department? Just putting out a bunch of songs just because you want to and because you can.
True. True. But see that I think that's that album.
Okay, yeah, okay, fine, fine, fine. Yeah, and
I think
I'm not.
Showgirl.
It was promising, like, yeah, and then
Yeah.
yeah.
Showgirl was, yeah, I
Mm,
don't know. Yeah, it's for her. Like again, I won't disrespect her. She does some things that I'm like, oh, not really, you know, too pleased by. And I don't think she's the most like incredible artist ever, but she makes good music, and
yeah.
she wasn't on the album, in my opinion. There's like one song I added to my playlist.
Mm.
So for a Taylor album, I think that's pretty bad. But yeah, anyways, that was that thing that I wanted to say. Only thing I wanted to say is that obviously you wouldn't know this, but I'll tell you. But when the album came out, loads of people went to like listening parties. Is another thing you had to sign up. And
Yeah.
yeah, loads of people coming back and saying that like there was a Jamiroquai influence. And I'm very disappointed by
Okay.
that
Okay.
because I didn't get a
By the
glimpse.
analysis of saying Jamiroquai.
Yes,
Mhm.
and it's very telling
Mhm.
of the
Oh,
people that got
okay.
to go to the listening party because I didn't
Mm.
get Jamiroquai, and I'm very upset about that.
Mm.
Very upset, and I
Because
feel like Jamiroquai, or let me say JK from
mm,
Jamiroquai, he is an artist that like takes a genre and really, do you know what I
mm,
mean? Really
mm,
pushes it. And love Harry, but he didn't do that as much. I respect
mm,
what he's done,
mm.
but it's not that. But that's
Okay.
the last thing I'll
And I'm gonna tuck and
maybe
I will tuck into some Jamiroquai because I do like I
so
must have died and gone ahead. Yeah, I don't think he was doing that on this record. I think in some areas it gets like disco. Sorry, Dance No More is really it. Where I'm like, ooh, Prince,
Prince.
ooh, but that was it. That was it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even yeah. I
Mm,
mean, for me, a standout was season two, Weight Loss.
yeah.
Ready, steady, go. Oh,
Let me.
oh, you don't like that one?
No, no, no. I need to just hear it again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it was anything. I was like, this is Harry Styles music to me.
Oh, yeah, first.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And there's pop. Pop sounds like something he's made before, but
yeah.
it's fine.
Mm,
Love it. But yeah, overall, I really like that. I won't lie. I
mm,
think it's very fun.
yeah.
And I spent all my life savings to see him, so it will be fun.
It'll
So
be yes,
yes,
and what's it? Team Harry Styles HQ. I would love a free ticket. I would love it. We
right.
would love free tickets. We would really
Yes,
actually like interviews, but we would love free tickets.
yes,
But yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Just know
I,
that I paid with my own money to get a disco
mhm.
package, and you guys know what that means. So Free
Well, yeah.
ones.
Well, yes, and I will be there to give my excellent, smart cultural commentary on it. So it'll be a win-win if you give
Yeah,
us
women.
free tickets. But yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming
That
on.
was so
I don't even know what I'm gonna call this format yet, but we'll figure it out. That's what we're doing right now. Everything's just like I'm actually just generally allowing myself to just figure things out. And Harry, same thing. So
yes.
yes, yes.
You know what I
All right.
mean? Yes. So fun.
Yeah. So
Oh,
some
we don't have much time.
yeah. I will just. Mm, we've already done the like where they find. It's fine. The video can just cut.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's fine.